Well, there we are. Good morning. Good morning. What if up, friends? It is Mindy Odlin here on a What If Wednesday morning. And thanks for joining. Thanks for taking the time to connect, to give yourself a little midweek boost. I want to share with you a story of what happened to me this morning as I was taking my morning stroll. I was taking a walk this morning out with my husband and just kind of really reflecting on just reflecting on life and the world and all these types of things. And we finished our walk. I went in, grabbed some breakfast, went out on the back porch to eat some breakfast, have some coffee. And as I looked out into my backyard, I had this memory of a dream that I once had. I won't get into that, but basically, as I looked out into the woods, it reminded me of that dream. There was this, obviously you walk into the woods and it gets dark, but there was this beam of light that was hitting this particular spot in the woods behind our house. So I set down my coffee. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take that as a sign. I'm just going to follow this light and see where it leads me, to see what perhaps message I might be able to pull from this little nudge. So I wandered into the woods and I followed this beam of light as the sun was burning through the fog, and it led me to this little patch of woods where there's this little strip of sunlight. And as I walked to where the sun was coming down through the trees, and it was bright as this morning, it was like this big, bold ball of light hitting me right in the eye. It felt so good. It felt so good. It was so warm and so beautiful in the midst of these trees. And as I stopped and I looked towards the sun, I saw this web, a spider web, but it was broken. So you could tell it had once been a pretty large web, but that something had gone through it and there was just a little bit left and it was kind of all, jagged and incomplete. And so I just sat in that moment and looked at the web and was thinking about, just, as I was reflecting this morning, like what's going on in the world, what's happening around us with the environment and all the different things that I tend to worry about, that I tend to, I have concerns about what happens in the world sometimes. So I was looking at this spider web and seeing the brokenness of it and seeing that it once was whole and it once was perfect and it once was functional. And now it was, a shadow of what it had once been. So I just sat with it for a bit until I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to sit down. And right behind me, I found this mossy stump that was just right in the sun. I thought, that's my spot. I'm going to sit and meditate there and see what comes to me. So I sit on this mossy stump, and it was fascinating because as I sat down and got still, as I changed my perspective just a little bit, what I saw closer to me than the broken spider web, what I saw were these little tiny threads of webbing, individual threads of webbing. And they went from like one fern leaf to the other, one fern leaf to the other. And if I changed my perspective as the sun would hit it, they'd be invisible most of the time, but the sun was hitting it just perfectly so that I could see each individual thread. And it made me think of our community here. Like there are so many beacons of light in this community. And we come together as individuals with individual talents and individual gifts and individual callings. And we're all here together. So I was looking at each one and noticing that as I shifted my perspective, where sometimes it seemed like there was nothing, suddenly I could see, oh, there's a thread there and there's a thread there. And they were really all around me, hiding in the shadows. But when the sun would hit them, they would just glisten. It's really beautiful, each individual thread of webbing. So I was sitting and admiring this for a bit. And then as I was contemplating, maybe it's time to go inside, I lift my vision. And as I talk about this in my book, The Power of Lifting Your Vision. As I lift my vision, I looked out to where that broken web was. And what I saw beyond that broken web was, boom, right there in the sunlight, an absolutely perfect, beautiful spider web right there. It's enormous and gorgeous and perfect in every way. And so I saw that in the distance. And what came to me was this sense that what we're doing here in this community is we are gathering together these beautiful, perfect strands, and we are building a web. We are building a perfect web, and that we don't have to fix what's there. We can create this new network of hope and love and possibility. It brought to mind the quote. It's attributed to Chief Seattle. It's, I'm sure, changed and paraphrased through the years, but essentially the quote goes like this. This is how I found it when I searched for it online. He says, "Man has not woven the web of life. He is but one thread in it. Whatever we do to the web, we do to ourselves. All things are bound together. All things connect." And so I walk away from my morning meditation, my morning walk, with a renewed sense of purpose, that what we are here to do together as a What If Up community is to build a web, to build a perfect web of hope and love and possibility, bringing forth the best that we all have to give and connecting it in a way that is perfect and resilient and beautiful in so many ways. So if you're not a part of our What If Up community, go to whatifup.org, sign up today. That will put you into our Facebook group where we're having incredible dialogues, incredible conversations. We're here to support you 24/7 and to be a support for each other. So that's the first invitation. Second invitation is, as a member of our community, we get together every month and we have possibility parties. Tonight is the night. So we have moved it. It is now the first Wednesday of the month. I think that makes it easier to remember. It also gives us a chance to celebrate all the wins from last month. So this is not only What If Wednesday, it is What If Wins Day. We're going to celebrate your wins from the month of July. And every month on the first Wednesday of the month, members of the What If Up Club can come together, and it's a chance to reflect on the month behind us, to set intentions for the month ahead, to have some accountability for the intentions that we set last month, and to celebrate the progress along the way. So this is an intentional community of conscious creators, and I'm excited to connect with you, to build those connections, to build that amazing web of humanity, that web of possibility. So possibility party tonight. If you're not in the community, join the community at whatifup.org so you can get the invitation to join us tonight on Zoom. For those of you who are members of our community, I can't wait to see you there. Mark your calendar, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We will connect for about an hour, and it's always a lot of fun, high energy. Bring something that matters to you, that you want to create, and we will brainstorm it. The other thing I want to share with you is we have just wrapped up the first season of our What If It All Goes Right podcast. And I want to do a shout out to Adriana Medina. It's a member spotlight week this week. And I'm going to do something a little bit different with our What If Wednesday broadcasts. So I'm going to be going forward, starting now in August, sharing with you each Wednesday the newest episode of our What If It All Goes Right podcast. So we're doing everything from teaching points to member spotlights to Q&A. I have had some of you ask questions in our group, and I found experts to answer those questions. So that's what we've done season 1. As we move into season 2, this podcast is designed to really spotlight what's happening in our community. So if you are a member of the What If Up Club and you would like to be spotlighted, you have some wisdom to share with our community, we would love to interview you for a future episode. So post in the comments below if you've got an idea, something that you would like to share your expertise with our community, or maybe you have a question and I can go find some expertise. I can interview someone, or I'll answer it if I feel like I'm the expert in that. We can do that as well. And share your wins. I'd love to highlight what's happening in your life in our What If It All Goes Right podcast. Season 2 is about to begin, and would love to really use our podcast as an opportunity to spotlight the amazing things that are happening in this community. So that being said, the premiere in our Facebook group, in our Facebook page of, I'm going to share Adriana's podcast coming up in about 10 minutes. So you can, that gives you some time to tell your friends to take a coffee break if you need to and settle in. It's about 25 minutes or so. And Adriana is going to be sharing with you. She's a neuroscientist, amazing What If Upper as well. She provides activation meditations. She's also the editor of our What If Up online magazine. She joins me to share her top 3 brain hacks for optimizing your brain for productivity. So if you're looking for some easy, fun ways to de-escalate your stress levels and step into a more resourceful, resilient mindset, to step into greater brain health and brain productivity, tune in to this episode. So I'm going to be sharing the full interview here in our community and here on our Facebook page. You can also go to our podcasts at whatifup.org under resources. Just click on podcasts and subscribe there. The podcast is an edited version. So the podcast is usually 15 minutes or so, 15 to 20 minutes. And it's sort of the best of taking out all the pauses and the ums and the ahs and giving you, a powerhouse teaspoon of great wisdom. So again, shout out to Adriana Medina. Thank you, Adriana, for not only being my special guest, but also for all the things that you do to contribute to our community here and for being such an amazing What If Upper. I want to hear from all of you. I want to spotlight every single one of you. What if every one of you has that strand, that perfect strand that when we put the light on it, suddenly we see things in a new way. We see a new resource, a new way of connecting with each other, a new way of stepping into the world with hope and positivity. So what if this is just the beginning? Season 2 is about to kick off. We celebrate the conclusion of season 1. Thank you, Adriana. And thank you all for being here. What if it's an amazing week? What if you get a tool that you can start using immediately to make each day a little bit brighter, a little bit more productive, so you can bring your gifts to the world? What if it all goes right? Thanks for joining. I'll see you next time. Actually, stay tuned. Stay tuned. Let's see. We got 8 minutes, 8 minutes, 8 minutes. And then you'll see the premiere of our final episode of season 1 of our What If It All Goes Right podcast. All right. I'll see you there. Bye-bye.